What's up, family? So Bernie Sanders decided to pull up and they asked him what he thought about this election. And they asked him, should the people be angry about the fact that the Democrats failed them in this economy on behalf of this administration that's going to be leaving January 20th? If this administration failed at ultimately putting the people first and having their best interest. So let's check it out.
After the vice president's loss in what he called a disastrous campaign, saying, quote, "It should come as no great surprise that a Democratic Party which has abandoned working class people would find that the working class has abandoned them." And Independent Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont joins me now. Senator Sanders, welcome back to Meet the Press.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here on this Sunday after Election Day. Let's start right there. Your criticism incredibly direct. You say you think the Democratic Party has, quote, abandoned the working class. How exactly do you think Democrats have abandoned the working class, Senator?
Look, the working people of this country are extremely angry. They have a right to be angry. In the richest country in the history of the world, today the people on top are doing phenomenally well, while 60% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. And millions of families worry that their kids are actually going to have a lower standard of living than they do. You got the top 1% owning more wealth than the bottom 90%. We're the only major country on earth not to guarantee health care to all of our people. 25% of our seniors are trying to live on $15,000 a year or less. We have the highest rate of childhood poverty of almost any major country on earth. And the gap between the people on top and everybody else is getting wider and wider. And then, Kristen, on top of all of that, we got a corrupt campaign finance system which allows billionaires to buy elections. So if you're an average worker out there, you're saying, hey, I'm working longer and longer hours, going nowhere in a hurry, worried about my kids, and yet the people on top have never had it so good. Where is the Democratic Party? Are they prepared to stand up to these powerful corporate interests, raise the minimum wage, fight for health care for all people, make sure that all of our kids get the quality education that they need, expand Social Security?
And I'm going to stop him right there because Bernie is wrong and out of touch, and he's been under a bubble rock. And the issue is that his proposals cause more pain because robbing Peter to pay Paul to expand these programs. He mentioned expanding program for all. For who? Because the ones paying for all the taxes that's going into it is the higher paying individuals, the wealthy. They are the individuals that's putting the most into the system because they're getting taxed the most. The wealthy is already getting taxed the most. And on top of that, funding for the ones who don't pay for it, the wealthy pay for it because they pay the highest in taxes. So basically his proposals is more taxes on people, but they encompass it and they like to put it in all together and mush it all together like a big ball and make it like, oh, tax the rich. But us, the people, are going to be paying for this. Look at Chicago. When these illegal migrants came over, the mayor of Chicago, Brandon Johnson, said we got to raise property taxes. So the migrant crisis panned out to raising property taxes. You're not going to raise income taxes on that. You're not going to raise income taxes, though, or any of that. The message that Bernie is proposing is the same message that the Democrats been proposing for a long time. They've been proposing the same thing for a long time. They just added icing on the cake with reproductive rights and all the other bullcrap, like legalization of weed on a federal level, okay? And nobody cares. The Democrats don't understand that the people are angry at the fast change that occurred, because it was a thunderstruck of rapid decline within the economy. The Democrats, along with Kamala, couldn't justify it. So the contrast from the years 2016 all the way to 2018 when Donald Trump was in office versus 2021 all the way to 2023 is rapid. Convincing people with universal health care, isn't that Obamacare basically in a sense? Comment down below. Family, am I wrong here? Isn't that Obamacare in a sense? Expand Social Security. People are focused on the noun and what they're experiencing. People out here don't even want Social Security. Social Security is supposedly a stopgap, where as a result, people never really had anything but, or as a result, I should say, that's for people that never really had anything. But then you need the government to subsidize to continue to make sure you live your life. So what happened was it was instituted, right? And it was never really fully funded because it was a Ponzi scheme. Social Security is something that we instituted in our lives, family. It's a Ponzi scheme because you have to rob me from 18 years old when I work all the way to 70 years old for 52 years. You got to rob me to ensure the person before me is being taken care of because they didn't pay into the system. That's the same thing where they're trying to say, oh, we're going to tax the wealthy. And the wealthy is the one that's covering the cost of the individuals that's not paying into the system. Right? So when it becomes your turn, people, for those that paid into the system of Social Security, the Democrats say, hey, we got to make sure Social Security is funded. But you paid into it all these years, 52 years you paid into the Ponzi scheme. So nothing is there for you. Then what happens is, unfortunately, the people who aren't even born yet are before they come into this country. I'm talking about newborns that's fresh out the womb, or people coming into this country and newborns are going to be designated to make sure they are overly taxed to pay for myself and for people that paid into the system. Because if you think about it, ultimately, I deserve it because I paid into it for 52 years within the Social Security system that was instituted, right? I paid into it, but B, it's nothing left to put into it. They gave it to somebody else already when I already have been putting the money into Social Security from 18 all the way to 70 years old, man. So these fundamental conversations are being kept. And it's disrespectful to the American people. And I say that because they're not being honest. Bernie Sanders is not being honest. Trump is authentic, whether you like him or you dislike him. Only the Democrats are going based on identity politics and feel goods, okay? Republicans are people that voted Republican, said, I don't have to like you, Donald Trump, or align with what Donald Trump stands for. What I care is whether or not you're going to fix the problem. First way the American people can tell if they telling the truth is, and we the people can tell if they telling the truth, these politicians, is by being transparent. And if they're being transparent of the matter. That's why, for example, we wasn't falling for the okie doke with Kamala Harris when she kept giving those consensual word solid type of answers, right? She couldn't articulate what she done in the last 3 years for an individual who has a resume like herself. Anybody and a mom could articulate what they done if they had really done what they say they done in the last 3.5 years, if they're truly competent and young and have the resume that Kamala Harris have. So Trump is saying, look, they robbing you. School systems are shot. The community is broken. Police ain't getting enough funding. We need to get illegals out of here. So they may not necessarily like the delivery of Donald Trump, but it's the truth. But when the economy booming and you get that check in your hand, your paycheck, you like, yeah, Trump. I'm for my man, Trump. We get that Bernie is an OG, okay? He's an old fart, okay? He's an old fart who is the longest standing senator in history in Vermont. We're not going to take that away from him. We're not going to discredit him. But he is so out of reach and far removed from what needs to be happening. And people are angry because they're broke. It's not that they don't want to work. Their paycheck can't stretch the way it used to. And their cultural norms, they are not able to live the lifestyle they once was able to live in the grocery store. They get bare minimum in the grocery stores. They're purchasing bare minimum goods, minimum wage. Companies cut the costs. They leaning into going over to other countries. Look at Stellantis. Look at Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge. They went over to Mexico because they cut back and leaning to go to overseas to justify cutbacks and manufacture themselves into China and Mexico because they can't pay you the wage to compete in America. So what they do is to continue to cut the costs, and which in turn cuts your wages, which then cuts your job roles because they automate it by automation. And when depending on universal income to survive, You depend on the people depending on universal income to survive. It will kill innovation because nobody has the incentive to do anything because we're just overly taxed like those fools in Chicago. Right? So look at California. All these policies he's saying is implemented in California. It's cultural issues. It is a cultural issue. Look at New York. All these asylum states. All these swing states. Right? They're trash. New York is basically the capital. California, the way you run California is the way you will run majority of or all the country. Because the way California is ran is what's being encompassed right now, right? As Trump is about to come in and change the trajectory so we can start booming again, right? We got to give a round of applause for that one, man. You know what I'm saying? We got to give a round of applause. And like I said, people may not like his delivery, but at the end of the day, he telling the truth. So, you ain't got to like it. But the truth should be told. The problem is these Democrats is so leftist extremists that they so busy pandering to telling you what you want to hear that they're not telling you what you need to hear. And the shift is changing. I believe Chicago is going to turn red. I mean, we did get a red sweep because at the end of the day, we need real life solutions. There's no more playing games. We look at this economy, man. But anyway, let's continue.
Are they prepared to do those things? That's the issue that we have to address.
Well, as you know, your statement was met with some sharp reaction as well. This is what Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi had to say. Take a look. I'll get your reaction on the other side.
Bernie Sanders has not won. Let me, with all due respect, and I have a great deal of respect for him, for what he stands for, but I don't respect him saying that the Democratic Party has abandoned the working class families.
Senator, how do you respond to Nancy Pelosi?
Well, Nancy's a friend of mine, and we've worked together on many issues. But here is the reality. I have to say to Nancy, in the Senate in the last 2 years, we have not even brought forth legislation to raise the minimum wage to a living wage, despite the fact that some 20 million people in this country are working for less than $15 an hour. In America today, we have not brought, in the Senate, we have not brought to the floor the PRO Act to make it easier for workers to join unions. We're not talking about defined benefit pension plans so that our elderly can retire with security. We're not talking about lifting the cap on Social Security so that we can extend the solvency.
You see what I'm saying? He's telling the same things. The same thing, man. And at the end of the day, look, man, let's be even more realistic. People is shopping at Dollar General. They shopping at Family Dollar. You think they want to shop there? At the end of the day, but they working with what we have. And the money is not stretching to justify the cost to be able to go to a Walmart. They shopping in the dollar store, bro. Like, come on, man. You can't be this out of touch. Read the room. Read the room. But see, I'm not surprised because I feel like at the end of the day, he has to go along with it. He's part of the party. He's part of the problem.
Of Social Security and raise benefits. Bottom line, if you're an average working person out there, do you really think that the Democratic Party is going to the mats, taking on powerful special interests and fighting for you? I think the overwhelming answer is no. And that is what has got to change.
Senator, let me zoom out and just ask you about these results. You've heard some of the reaction throughout the Democratic Party. How much do you personally blame President Biden for this loss?
President Biden, when he came into office, said that he would be the most progressive president since FDR. And I think on domestic issues, not foreign policy, on domestic issues, he has kept his word, and the agenda that he has pushed through has been an extraordinarily strong one. But that agenda has got to be placed within the overall context of American society today. And that American society today is one in which tens of millions of working families and elderly people are struggling, while the people on top have never had it so good.
But, Senator, should he have gotten out of the race more quickly, as some are arguing?
I'm not going to. I supported him because I think his...
See, guys like this, they need to understand business. And that's why I say he's so far out of reach, because I just expanded. I just explained and elaborated and added a context to why companies are cutting back and justifying their costs and going overseas and leaving American individuals out of jobs. My man doesn't understand the business perspective of it to even understand the factors that go into why American families are struggling. Like, this administration opened borders, and you have taxpaying citizens paying for illegal immigrants in the country. They were getting food vouchers in New York. Mayor Eric Adams literally granted those things to be given to illegal immigrants. And you just swamping and slamming American citizens with those type of responsibilities, giving benefits to illegals at the end of the day that don't even have a Social Security. They don't pay taxes. So it's like, come on, man, all these factors, and he's trying to put it all together and jumble it together and say tax the rich. That's all he's saying constantly is tax the rich. And it's the same talking points they go off of. But he's trying to say it in a way that, oh, the 1% is living, they have no effect of this. They haven't discovered no effect of it. They've been living luxurious, and they should be held accountable.
His agenda was a strong agenda, a working class agenda. I'm not going to look backwards. Kamala ran a strong campaign. She did everything that she could. She decisively won the debate. So to me, it's not just about the campaign. It's about what does the Democratic Party stand for? Do ordinary people say, yeah, that is a party that is fighting for my interest and prepared to take on the big money interest who control the economic and political life of the country? That's to me what the issue is.
Kamala Harris did horrible. She couldn't even manage the funds within her own campaign. She was in debt, and Trump offered to pay it. I did do a video on that. Go check that out. Trump offered to pay her $20 million debt. She can't even pay vendors that worked along her campaign as she traveled along and campaigned for the short amount of time that she did. And I know they're trying to make this narrative and spin this narrative that if she had enough time, if she had more than enough time, maybe a year, that she would do anything different. No, she wouldn't. She would have done the same thing.
Yeah, we're talking a lot about the economics. You've talked about how the Democratic Party is out of touch when it comes to economic issues. Some Democrats are saying it's not just economic issues, it's cultural issues as well. Here's what Democratic strategist James Carville had to say. Take a look.
If you're turning 65 or beyond, you're going to want to...
Excuse the ad, family. But no, tell me, hold up. Economic strategist, hold up. It got me messed up. My man look like he just chilling on the couch with them 1960 headphones, drinking some Bud Light. And this who is going to be the economic strategist? How old is this man? I feel like we need a little bit more younger individuals to stay in touch with reality, because as you get older, I feel like your mind just be so premeditated and you already have your mind made up on approach to things. And if they listen to this economic strategist, which let's hear what he got to say. But if this is the strategist and the economic strategist they took the input for, no wonder the economy is what it is. But let's go.
What killed the Democrats and what killed Biden was a sense of disorder. And part of the sense of disorder was the unfortunate events of what I would refer to as the woke era.
Has the Democratic Party's focus on identity politics gone too far, Senator?
Let me answer it this way. I think
he's not going to answer it. It's a simple yes or no question. Yes, they focused on identity politics more than ever, and not real matters and not real situations of what people are going through and enduring right now. But like I said, he's basically a part of the party, so he can't say it because at the end of the day, he's bought and he got to stay on code, right?
If the Democratic Party must continue to stand up against all forms of bigotry, and Democrats should hold their head high in saying we led the fight for women's rights and to protect the woman's constitutional right for abortion. We led the fight for civil rights, for gay rights. That is something we should be proud of.
This is what blows my mind. He's so honed in on that. He's basically championing that reproductive campaign that Kamala Harris was championing. Like I said, the same talking points, the same story, the same motive, right? He's saying the same thing and spewing the same things. If you really read between the lines, because he's not saying nothing different. And this is why the Democrats, nobody rocking with him. See, I'm an independent. But at the end of the day, you got to come with real solution and real policy. At the end of the day, you talking about urinals in women's bathrooms and tampons in men's bathrooms and stuff like that. Families over here concerned about how they going to feed their families, bruh. And that's why I say you so out of touch, bruh. Like, I hope this video reach you, bro. Somebody need to send this to this man. Send it up to Vermont, for real.
But it's not either or, Chris, and this is the problem. You can do both. You could say that I'm for raising the minimum wage to a living wage, guarantee health care for all people, expanding Social Security. And by the way, I also support a woman's right to control her own body, etc. It's not either or. It's going forward in both directions.
You know,
and now he's championing women mutilating their bodies and getting rid of unwanted babies that they don't want. So they just have the privilege to go if they. I done seen this, man. I done seen women. Now, if it's an unfortunate circumstance, rape and stuff like that, of course, that's an unfortunate, unprecedented manner. That's the extreme. But I'm talking about, I done seen women who just had babies with multiple men and they didn't want them and they didn't take the proper precautionary measures, which they didn't have to go to the screen and mutilate their body and get an abortion, that they're hurting their body because the body naturally doesn't function in a way to be pulling the baby out when the baby isn't ready to come out yet in its natural form. So now, just because the woman doesn't want the baby, oh, you know what? I don't want to have a baby with this guy no more. And they just get rid of it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm talking about that, the majority, not the minority, the majority in which they decide, you know what? They carrying the baby. Oh, I don't want to go to no more. I'm just going to get an abortion. So you mutilate your bodies. But like I said, people ain't checking for that. When it comes to food on the table and stomachs rumbling, bro, that's the real issue. People trying to eat, bro.
I've been speaking to some Democrats who are concerned because now President-elect Trump has beaten two women candidates, and their concern is that it will make it more difficult to nominate a woman candidate in the future. Do you share that concern, Senator?
No, I don't. I think it's not a question. Look, I'm not going to deny that there is sexism in this country, that there's racism, there's homophobia. It's there. But on the other hand, I think what the American people want to support, whether it's a woman, a man, a black or a white or Latino, whatever, is they want to support somebody who is standing up, Kristen, and fighting for them. People are in pain. People are hurting. They can't afford to go to a doctor. They can't afford to send their kids to childcare or to college. They're worried about future generations and what kind of standard of living they will have. Here is the bottom line, and it has to be dealt with. You got an economy today doing phenomenally well for the people on top. It is not working for the working class. All right? How do we address those issues? And in the richest country on the history of the world, create an economy that works for all. That is the issue. And by the way, what Trump did in his election is to say, I know that you're hurting. And the reason is they got millions of people coming across the border illegal. They're eating your dogs. They're eating your cats. He gave an explanation. It happened to be a pretty crazy explanation. Yes, we got to strengthen the borders, but that is not going to raise wages for working people.
Yes, we got to strengthen the borders, but she opened up the borders. Look, man, I'm tired of listening to this foolery. Look, the truth is the truth, and at the end of the day, the truth will set you free. I think Bernie Sanders, before he spoke, he should have seeked some more understanding and really get outside his bubble and really interact with the people, man. Man, that's my take on it. Get this video a big thumbs up. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. On that note, family, peace.